Spoilers and offensive content to come.
Danger, Forest Eyes warning. I need to transform with my cell phone into my cute kimono outfit and have lots of jiggle physics. Here we go. And done. Flowers. Folks, we are Carl's Day Anime Rave. We are something. I don't know what, but we are. We're also Two Fat Guys Talk, so this is going to be kind of an interlude podcast for that show. And we are here to talk about Yuki Yuna wa Yushidairu Season 3. It has a subtitle. I think it's Daimankai no Sho. I don't remember. Do not quote me. I don't actually care. We recently watched Yuki Yuna Season 3. We wrapped it up. And this season, for better or for worse, was kind of a complimentary season to Season 2 because it told a lot of events from a different perspective and provided a proper conclusion that didn't have, and also included things that I wish were included back then.
Yep.
What did you think of Yuki Yuna wa Yushidairu, aka Yu, aka Yuki Yuna as a Hero, Season 3, aka 2, Part 2B7?
Well, let's just say we didn't spend about an hour and a half yelling at it as it finished.
No, I was yelling at it during it. I was yelling things like, why wasn't this in the last season?
Well, and that is both the strength and the weakness of this entire season, is we felt from the get-go that Season 2 didn't give enough episodes to what was actually Season 2.
Yeah, for those who don't remember, Season 2 consisted of 6 episodes, took up the Washio Sumi movies, which were the stuff that happens before Yuki Yuna, and they only left that with 6 episodes to handle all of Season 2 of Yuki Yuna proper, which was the thing that happens after Yuki Yuna and wraps up the entire story. And so it was a giant train wreck mess.
It was, and I mean, unlike Season 1, which, yes, had the girls suffering and everything else because of their powers and the ramifications, we felt Season 2 was basically just suffering porn.
Yeah, and because there wasn't enough time to really flesh out other stories, the entire thing about Yuki Yuna Season 2, the hero side chapter, whatever it's called, is that, hey, how can we make Yuna just really, really miserable?
And therefore everybody else.
And what Season 3 does is it presents us a much broader picture of what Season 2 should have been.
Yeah.
That is just one component, because there were other things that should have been included, other things that in the light novels were happening at the same time, including everyone's favorite hero, Mabuki, and mine at least.
Yes.
Now, if you remember, at the I kept shitting on Season 2 because I'm like, why wasn't Mabuki a major player in this? Since her stories happened at the same time, why didn't this run concurrently with her story and her group? And it's kind of like God heard me. And God's like, okay, let's actually do that here. So we got to see Mabuki, which for me kind of made the season. Was seeing Mabuki, it was me explaining stuff like, hey, this is why Mabuki's like this, because in the light novel this happened.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, even that didn't get enough time, in my opinion.
It really needed 24 episodes.
Yeah. The 6 episodes of Season 2 and these 12 episodes needed to be combined and have more episodes added to them. But even then, we got a lot out of Mabuki. We got a lot out of someone who just kind of wanted to do right by the Taisha for her own benefit, was shut down, and then kind of looked at humanity as not being expendable, and that's what led her to save so many people. Yeah. Truly a worthwhile hero. Yeah, I call them Yuki Yuna ODST. They're the ODSTs to the Spartans. To
Absolutely.
The hero Spartans, right? But that's what they were. They were Group B, but they had to make do. One of my favorite episodes is the one where Karin doesn't know what to do, and Mabuki challenges her to a fight. And it's this cool fight between the two that Mabuki, previously to someone she detested in Karin, was trying to help her now.
Yeah.
And we got to see the finale of the climax of the whole story. The heavenly gods invade the real world, and we got to see it a lot from Mabuki's perspective and trying to save her priestess friend that she doesn't want to die. You know, like, it was just so much good shit that should have been there before.
Yeah, and the extra details they gave to us, even in the scenes that we had seen in Season 2 for the main cast. those additions helped flesh things out so we understood more, and even made those segments that we were angry at in season 2 not angry at in season 3. Like, this is, if you had to fix a fuck up,
this is kind of how you do it.
This is kind of how you do it.
We got a proper epilogue for everyone.
We got a few years later epilogue. And I mean, it made perfect sense.
It's not that far in the future that they couldn't do more if they didn't want.
Yeah.
And it's still enough that we can just wrap up the story if this is where it's going to end.
Well, I mean,
they could find survivors. They could find other pockets of heroes that could themselves be their own stories, or maybe they don't. You know, like,
if you're gonna go with the idea that this was the only pocket of humanity that survived, and that now it's an exploration of what's left of Earth, and how to kind of rebuild society, that's fine. If the exploration is like, you could literally do a movie as a continuation to this. Wouldn't even have to have any combat or anything else. It could just be them exploring and rebuilding how society is going to go, because with the Taisha being gone, it's no longer making all the resources that humanity needed to survive. So the idea of having to restart up these old factories for like oil production and stuff like that, or maybe you're going to go beyond oil production, you're going to go green. You don't need to bring in the politics of that, but that would be something that as a group, you'd have to decide on.
It's interesting to think about where they go. Definitely some fun speculation to have there. If Takahiro wanted to continue the story down that road, or even not. It's still fun to think about. That doesn't mean, however, with all the praise we're throwing, that doesn't mean this was a perfect season.
No, it wasn't.
There were definitely some problems. There was still some trimming, some retreading ground that we didn't need to. We lost some of the Mabuki story and a lot of the Nogi Wakaba story. The original group of heroes probably needed, if they were going to have their stories integrated, they should have been told through flashback, maybe even in black and white as a bit of artistic kind of thing. Same thing with if you're going to tell Washio Sumi stuff in the series, the best thing to do would be through flashback and then have a separate OAV series for that, right? And that's the thing. There's so much stuff in the Nogi Wakaba stuff that I wish we could have seen appear, like the various complicated feelings the characters had for one another, and for the humans that they didn't feel much appreciation from, right? Stuff like how badass Wakaba was, and that we didn't really get to see the significance of her spirit helping Yuna merge with the fucking Shinju-sama and punch God in the mouth eye.
Well, and I like how in season 2 we thought that Yuna had done it with the power of her friends, but in season 3 we learned that no, the others injured God first to give her that ability to. The cracks were in the facade already to give her the ability to punch God a good one. I feel like so many of these things could have been, like, there should have been different season pacing, and the other things should have been just their own movies. Like, the first half of season 2, which were the movies, should have literally just been OAV movies.
Agreed.
They should not have been part of season 2, and I think I even said back in season 2 that I felt that it almost felt like they were given a time frame and a budget, and they had to get out what they could then in the hopes of being able to do more later.
That may well
and that's, I mean, season 3 was season 2B, and it fixed a whole bunch of our complaints. Again, still cut stuff that we didn't want them to cut, but it's kind of a trend in anime these days that where shows should get 20, 24 episodes, they're all trying to condense into 12 episodes to save money, and all that ends up doing is 5 years later them coming back and doing it again the right way.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing up fingers here, quote unquote, the right way.
And that's the thing. While I would rather have had Yuki Yuna season 3 than no season 3 at all,
Yes.
it was something that I didn't realize I needed.
Yes.
I still would have rather had a proper season 2 back then.
Yes. Absolutely. This healed a number of the injuries from season 2, but would have been better if they had just done it right the first time.
Yeah, because both of these seasons ultimately are things that are for us.
Yes.
They're for people who know this fiction. Because you could watch season 1 of Yuki Yuna not knowing who the fuck Washio Sumi is.
Yep.
And just discovering later that this light novel existed and that they referenced. It still exists on its own, though. The Yuki Yuna still works on its own as a sequel to that and as its own thing. But season 2 and 3 of Yuki Yuna do not work at all without knowledge of a whole bunch of other things, and they just kind of fall apart on their own. In a way, we pieced together a whole... What this season was, okay, we got a bucket of Legos that were missing a lot of pieces, and they finally gave us a bucket that's not a full bucket, but it complemented the pieces we had before to make kind of a full bucket.
Yeah.
That's what we have.
Yeah.
And I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take it, because I like this ending in this epilogue. I got to see Mabuki kick ass. Like,
yeah.
I got to see a lot of people, Mabuki and Sonoko and all of them, have a real fuck the Taisha attitude, and I love that shit, like how Sonoko took them over, basically. Lots of cool shit like that, which I wanted. Again, it's sometimes God hears me when I talk about Yuki Yuna. At this slice of life show, God heard my complaints, turned it into an action show. And now it's like, oh, we should add Mabuki. God heard my complaints, give me a season of Mabuki. Like,
well, and that's just it. Like, Sonoko taking over the Taisha was something that, they kind of hinted at from the beginning of season 2 kind of thing. Or even in season 1 with her being idolized as, a hero, even if kind of a fallen hero at that point, to keep the other heroes in check as well. You could kind of see that kind of happening. I was glad to see that the Taisha member that had helped them,
the teacher whose name I forget,
the teacher who lost an eye during the process of everybody else becoming wheat. I was glad to see that they actually
turned to wheat. This is such a Japanese show.
It is, but I was glad that they finally met each other again and were able to talk.
Yeah.
And even in the couple years later epilogue that we got, I mean, the fact that there were factions talking about how, Yuna and Togo going out and their whole little organization they had put together to determine, like, the radioactivity of areas and if there's any survivors and everything else. The fact that there were actually factions against them because God wouldn't want them to be out there, I totally bought. It was a single line on the radio, but I'm like, yep, and I totally get it. For a group that has been basically had everything open back up, even though a series of gods had locked it all away from them being wary of going out there because, another god might pop up and do it to them again, would have me worried too a bit.
It's fascinating to think of where the world goes from there. And yeah, it could end right here, and we could be left with that speculation, and that would be enough for me.
Yeah.
Or it could continue, and I'm a lot less wary of that now than I was after season 2. When I heard there was a season 3, all I could think of was why.
Yeah, we were both... When I told you that, you're like, in one of your big, loud, sometimes annoying ones, like, why?
What do you mean annoying? I'm never annoying.
Okay there, Link.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, this helped fix my opinion of...
Fix your opinion.
The show as a whole. I still think season 1 was it at its best, but season 3 fixed my opinion of the show after season 2, and yeah, I agree. If it goes no further, I am completely okay with that. I don't need a season 4 at this point, knowing that the girls are going to be how they are with the Hero Club, going into their adult lives, and the fact that Togo and Yuna are still together.
Well, they didn't confirm any feelings between them, but I think we know.
I think that's
what happens at
Yes.
night. Wink, nudge, nudge harder, nudging. It's painful now. Nudge.
yeah.
Yeah. Folks, what did you think of Yuki Yuna Wayusha Daru, aka Dai Mankai Yusha Turbo Hyper Fighting Season 3? Let us know, comment on this video, or go to animerave.xyz and leave us a voicemail. Tune in next time for our next On International Waters thing, which, depending on the release order, might be the third part of our Ava finale review. I don't know, maybe. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Yeah?
We need a Yuki Yuna fighting game.
We've needed one forever, or she needed to be a guest in Dragon Ball FighterZ.
I think she's a little overpowered by that cast. No offense.
Yeah, so is Yamcha, and he's in it.
Yeah, but you always include the joke character.
Okay.
Tune in next time, people.
Okay. Fuckface.